Hi, welcome to Racehouse with me, Joe Lee.
And me, Darren Reeves.
We've had some races that's so exciting after that break. Miami and Canada. Wow. I mean, Canada was a bit wet, but Miami, I mean...
Well, Joe, first of all, we've actually doing another podcast together. We're here in Guildford
we're
today,
in Guildford,
aren't we?
yeah.
Rather than be sat on computer
That's
screens.
What we should be starting with. Yeah, that's true.
Do you want to start again?
No, I think this is great. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
perfect.
we can start with Guildford because Guildford is a great town. We've been in many times. I did actually my first gigs in Guildford back in the day when I was a musician, up the top at the Radisson and the Mandalay.
Yes.
Did the Coca-Cola torch relay here when the Olympics were happening.
Oh, mate, amazing.
And now we're here joining forces to talk about F1 with Racehouse. But let's get back to F1. And, you know, the rules were so extraordinary this year. The regulations had changed. We had this time during the Middle East break when there were no races happening. Miami in Canada. Did the teams get it right? Have they made the changes?
Well, they've had a lot of time to think about it. That's the first thing. You know, we've had 2 races since we last chatted, and we had that massive break. But these rule changes with the complete aerodynamic package, brand new engine where it's 50-50 of combustion engine, 50 electric engine with the batteries and so on. It's been such a change that the drivers haven't really been happy with all this recharging the battery going down the straights, and it's caused a lot of arguments, and Verstappen has even threatened to quit over it.
They've called it Mario Kart racing, haven't they? Because you're pressing boost as you're going down the straight or something.
And I've seen a few videos of exactly that, slipping on the bananas and collecting the points and the rockets. But it needs to settle down a little bit, and it will settle down a little bit. And Verstappen seems to be a bit happier now that they can be a bit more full on with this slight change. Is he
happier now? He's not getting performance, and there's a lot of rumours he may leave. We can go into that if you want now about Verstappen.
Mate,
he's not. I mean, look, he got the podium in Canada. Well deserved. He raced well, but the car isn't there yet, and there's a lot of talk that he may go to another team. He may go to Mercedes, who he's had a lot of talks with. I think Toto was seen talking to his dad over at Canada. Maybe he'll go to Audi, which is also a good fit, big manufacturer. That would be a great shortcut for Audi.
I think at the moment it's interesting because I don't think the Red Bull is far off the Ferrari. And you've got to remember that Red Bull and McLaren are behind at the moment. They're still playing catch-up from last season. Last season was phenomenal that Max could have won that championship in Abu Dhabi. And McLaren were going to throw it all away. So they ploughed everything into it. Mercedes are so far ahead at the moment, and it's been difficult to see where McLaren are because they've had such a stop-start season.
Oh yeah.
I've diverted from Verstappen a little bit, but I think we've got to just sit and wait because I think we're seeing different teams at the front, and
that's what we wanted, didn't we?
Exactly what we wanted.
That's what the FIA wanted.
And of course, Verstappen is not happy about that.
No.
That's what the problem is. If he was at the front, like Mercedes are right now, and they hadn't have put all their time into last year, I think we'd be in a different place. That's why I was saying about it.
Yeah, you're right, and it's the end of this dominant era, but there's now the Antonelli era, and he's won last 4 races.
There's always going to be a dominant car and a dominant team.
Well, Mercedes are very well suited, aren't they, with the batteries now and the power. I mean, as we talked about before, they came from Formula E, they had that experience, they're a big car manufacturer. Is this Mercedes season? Do you reckon they're going to win?
I think it's theirs to throw away, but I think what's happening, we're seeing other teams at the front. We've seen obviously Mercedes dominate in qualifying and win every race so far, but we have seen McLaren up there when they have been racing at the front. We're seeing great starts from the Ferraris, bad starts from Mercedes, which is closing the pack up again and moving things around.
McLaren have been doing Ferrari were doing pretty well, actually.
I think Ferrari have been doing great. And Lewis Hamilton, let's talk about happy drivers. It's the happiest we've seen him for a long time. And he feels that he's now got the team and the engineers that he wanted around him to build the car that he needs to race. And we can see now there's a little bit of a slight, not advantage is the wrong word, but just Leclerc is not as comfortable as he was last year in last year's Ferrari.
He started strong this season, I think, Leclerc.
He's led races.
And they've been up there, top 3,
Great
top 4.
Great starts.
Yes, true,
picking up points, but there's just he always had the edge on Hamilton last year at Ferrari, and we're now seeing Antonelli in Hamilton's old car. But Hamilton seems really happy about it, and just seem like best mates. So I think I think Verstappen will never be happy unless he's at the front, and the best drivers get the best cars. So if Red Bull are not going to produce the best car, Verstappen will leave. It's fact. He will either leave Formula One, or he will move to whoever has the best car.
Well,
and we know Toto
cannot
say no to the likes of Verstappen. But then why didn't he give Hamilton a multi-year offer Hamilton a multi-year deal a couple of years ago?
An age thing, surely.
It's got to be that, but it's got to be an age thing. But we're seeing Alonso. He's going on and on and on and on. And at the end of the day, we talked about it earlier today, Joe. It's not so much about physique now, because these guys are superhuman. Age does get to it in the end, like it does for footballers and other sportsmen.
Yeah.
But with driving, there's another skill to it. It's the hunger. He's still got the hunger.
He's still hungry, but his eyesight might go. I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to get the readers. Look, I think Ferrari will support Hamilton as long as they can. Yeah. And I think Hamilton is still hungry, and we're seeing that now that he's a happier driver. He's not in the doldrums. And look, he was on the podium. He got a great second. Should be really chuffed with that. And the Ferraris are doing really well. What I would be thinking as Alonso, though, this is his last season in contract. I think his contract's up.
Yeah.
So what's he going to do? I'm sure Stroll won't want to keep him on. I don't think Alonso will want to stay.
It's a terrible season for them. I can't see Alonso wanting to stay, even if Stroll does want to keep him on.
No.
But the point is what else have they got right now? They literally have the worst car and the worst second driver on the grid.
Which is incredible. You think you've got Adrian Newey in your stable.
It's very, very strange. I can't work it out at all. They've got the most phenomenal factory set up at Silverstone. I can't understand any of it at all.
It just goes to show that just by throwing money at it, money and talent resources is not the alchemy that you need for this season, for these set of rules. And Mercedes seems to have cracked it. Now, Aston Martin's always been very good at copying other teams, copying body chassis and everything, and shells. I think they're all going to be looking to Mercedes, and close this gap.
I just wonder, we're really now seeing the generation of cars being designed by computer. And we could even say AI. Adrian Newey is still using a pencil and a piece of paper, and all the success that he's had over the decades. Is he had his time?
Maybe he's had his time. I saw an interview with Zach Brown recently, and he said they're using Gemini.
Yes.
Google is a big sponsor for McLaren, so it's natural they'll be using Gemini, and will have to use Gemini. They can't use Claude or anyone else. But they use it. He says it's in every single decision. It's in business, it's in administration, it's in car design, it's in aerodynamics. Why not have that edge?
Yeah. And I wonder if that's what we're seeing taking place in Formula One. I don't know, mate. But
that's an improvement in McLaren, actually, with the last race. I mean, Orlando,
I think McLaren, if we talk about that, I think they're up there, and I don't think they're far off Mercedes. But they, with the DNSs in Australia and in China, with Norris then winning the sprint race in Miami and finishing second, but they've just been dogged with bad luck. I think is the best description at the start of the season. Yeah. But I think we're going to be seeing that with these new regulations. It's just McLaren are the ones that have taken the back end of it. Yeah. But I genuinely believe, and I think Piastri should have won Japan if it wasn't for a safety car. Could have, would have, should have, whatever. But there's our Beverly Knight.
Well, yes, very good. Let's talk about could have. George Russell.
Yes.
He was really the number one driver last year.
He still is the number one driver.
Well, is he now?
Yeah.
Is he the number one driver? Anthony's won 4 Grand Prix now.
He came into the season in the best car, and they knew they had the best car. He absolutely showed all his strength in Australia. Antonelli goes and wins China, and we think, well done, absolutely brilliant, and see Hamilton up on the podium as well. But what we've seen since then, like Russell had bad luck in qualifying, in China. But what we've seen since then is Antonelli in Japan, fantastic. Loads of time off for things to reflect, but then coming back after that break in Miami we saw a dominant Antonelli and Russell nowhere to be seen, finishing 4th. And he was nowhere. But they've always said Miami's not his track, but wait till we get to Canada. This is a Russell track. He was on pole position for the last 2 seasons. He won last year. And then we get to Canada, and we can talk about that if you want to talk about that.
Let's talk about Canada. The weather wasn't great, was it?
Well, the weather was meant to be worse.
I was hoping for more rain.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
You know I like a wet race.
I would say, I know we're jumping around, Joe, today, but I would say with Canada, that the teams were all expecting worse weather than actually happened, with the temperatures really dropping from the sprint race. Like, they were at 35 degrees, dropping to 12 degrees the next day. It's
crazy. Track temperature as well is really varying.
It's massively varying, and especially on the degradation of the tyres, because that is what all the drivers can feel with the track and the connection to it. But I don't think I've ever seen such an indecision on tyre choice for a start of a Grand Prix as than what we saw in Canada this week, with 9 drivers on inters and then some on softs, some on mediums. I think there was a couple on hard. So it was total indecision, whereas normally you see a whole grid with 1 or 2 people taking a risk because they've got nothing to lose.
The soft seems to do okay, actually, didn't they?
Well, every tyre did okay because the track temperature was so low that there was no degradation. So even the softs did well. Then everyone got to the hards. Everybody went to mediums because they had to use 2 tyre compounds. But with McLaren starting on the inters, which was totally the wrong decision, and Piastri seemed to be the only person in the team that realised this, and it was all too late. They then got muddled up after the pit stops in back markers and slower cars. Piastri takes out Albon down at the hairpin. Norris just ends up having to do another pit stop, and from leading the race at the start on those inters, they got off the track. To then gearbox failure. What's that all about?
Well, and then Russell later, was that power unit failure?
So obviously the big one was the we call it yo-yo racing, and we've seen it at the front. The first 10 to 15 laps. I
like it. Well, I quite like it.
Yes, the first 10 to 15 laps of every race we've seen right now has seen the change of lead. They're following better than they've ever followed before. We've seen this at the beginning of other regulations, to be fair. And then, of course, the teams get better and better and better at understanding the regulations, and then suddenly the aerodynamics become so well developed that they can't follow each other anymore. And I think we're going to see that in this set of regulations as well, because it's a standard pattern. But because it's not DRS, it's now a boost thing based on how much energy you've got.
I was going to say based on Mario Kart, but yeah.
It is, exactly. We've seen some fantastic racing between the 2 Ferraris in China. We've seen some phenomenal racing between the Mercedes over the whole season. We've seen some of it with the McLarens as well. And it's the Red Bulls are in there, but they're behind the top.
Hadjar wasn't too bad this race, actually.
Hadjar has been unlucky in a couple of the races, but the Red Bull, they were there.
They were there.
Hadjar was closer to Verstappen than he's ever been.
It's just a high bar because of Verstappen, basically.
But going back to Mercedes, I felt that yo-yo racing until Russell's engine power unit cut off, of which we don't see many Mercedes failures, let's be honest. He was really unlucky, but their driving, was it brilliant or was it on the edge of stupid? I can't decide, Joe, what I feel about it.
It took me back to Lewis Nico kind of racing.
It absolutely does. 2016 Spain.
Come on, guys. I mean, cardinal rule number 1.
Yes.
Don't take out your teammate. And they were, frightfully close.
But at the end of the day, your teammate is your arch rival in this situation. When it's teams against teams, so we say Hamilton, Verstappen have never been teammates. Even Norris and Piastri last season, there was some real close calls there, and Canada was the great example of Norris driving up the back of Piastri. It wasn't for the win. He lost 4th place, I think, or 5th place from it. But it could have been the difference.
It could have been the difference.
But we see this happen with the top teams. There's going to be collisions in Formula 1. But the worst one for me was coming down that main straight towards the pit entrance, and they overtook, and then Antonelli just nearly went straight into the back of Russell and how he didn't take
I don't know
the two of them out at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is going to set the tone for the rest of the season.
But we're talking about the big teams.
Yeah.
If I can just change to Alpine, terrible start to the season.
Yeah.
Dog last. Didn't do too bad in Canada.
So Canada, the Mercedes engine, we're seeing a sort of revived Colapinto.
They switched from Renault now to Mercedes.
That's right. That's right. Yes, and Colapinto seems to be happier in the car. The Colapinto we saw in that Williams when he sort of took over from Logan Sargent for a few races. But Miami, though, we saw a full barrel roll, Gasly, in lap 4 or 5, something like that, before the safety car. So they've had their bad luck as well. But I think the Mercedes teams have the best engines and best batteries. And this is what we're going to see from Williams. And they had a double points finish in Miami as well.
Yeah.
And Sainz was in there, wasn't he? But Albon was unlucky in Canada, taken out by Piastri.
Still no luck for Audi, really. We've got Perez and Bottas.
No, that's not Audi.
That's Cadillac. That's Cadillac, sorry.
Yeah.
Audi, I think they've got 2 points on the board now. Aston Martin still at the back with 0.
Well, I think Audi and Hülkenberg have been the unluckiest team so far because he just seems to qualify 11th and finish 11th pretty much in every race. And he nearly finished it. Really consistent. But he nearly finished 11th in Canada. He actually finished 12th in the end. Yeah. So for me, they're knocking on the door. But you've got to remember they're a new team. I know they're a revived Sauber team with the same driver lineup, but I think Bortoletto and Hülkenberg are a really solid driver lineup for an up-and-coming team that are learning. And I think they're in the midfield. They're in there with the likes of Williams and who else have we got? I've got the brains fried. Likes of Williams and Racing Bulls.
Racing Bulls.
I'd say I'd have Alpine just above them because of the Mercedes engine and Williams in that mix. But I think we're going to see more from Audi. They're going to need to pick up points when people give away places, as we've seen without Norris and Russell finishing.
Well, Alpine are picking up points, which is great. Yes. Yeah, that's what we want to see. But I mean, again, how can Aston Martin be given such ground away? I can't believe it. And Williams has always been, a challenger team.
Yes.
Let's put it. But
not always. To be fair, if we go back to the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, in the recent modern history,
yes.
You're right. That's very true. Sorry, Williams. Recently not setting the world on fire. They need a booster. But what can you do? I mean, we've got the cost caps. We've got, all this other drivers. Is it too competitive at the back? Have the new rules, created this amazing front four that we should be watching, and are the rest of the field struggling?
I think everybody's on their own journey. I think Audi are on a different journey to Red Bull. I think it's great to see the Racing Bulls. I'm loving watching Lindblad.
Oh, yeah.
Outshine Lawson. I think that Racing Bull car, I want to see Verstappen in there. I did last season. If Red
do you reckon he'll do well in that?
I think it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting.
Why not?
Why not have a go? Yeah.
Absolutely. They can move their drivers around. They did it with the likes of Tsunoda and Lawson.
Yeah.
And so why not? So I think they're all on different journeys, and we're seeing Cadillac on a brand new journey. At the end of the day, they're only trying to race Aston Martin, but what on earth are Aston Martin doing down there? It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. I'm sorry, but Mr. Stroll sorted it all out.
Poor Lance. I mean,
I feel really sorry for him.
He's a terrific driver.
Yeah, oh man. So I think we just have to realise they're on different journeys. These new regulations that they've not shaken really the top four, the mid pack, and the bottom that much. Other than I think what's changed more is that Alpine have got Mercedes engines, so we've seen them move forward. Other than that, it's not really changed anything.
Talking about moving forward with Alpine, there's been a lot on the business side of F1 about this 24% stake that Otro Capital, who is Ryan Reynolds and Anthony Joshua and lots of celebs, all banded together.
Rory McIlroy
put this in. Hasn't really worked because they basically picked the dog of the F1 teams. However, there's been a lot of interest. Toto Wolff wanted to buy it. We talked about this last time, but they don't really. They want to get away from the second team thing. Zach Brown, McLaren has been very vocal about it. It's unfair to have secondary teams on the grid.
Yes.
But one person who has been lurking around Alpine and other interests is Christian Horner.
Yes.
Now, one of his options to come back into F1, now that his gardening leave is finished with Red Bull, is to come back via the Alpine stake, or if someone wants to take over Alpine. He's recently been seen with BYD, the chairman. So it's a husband and wife who run BYD in China, and the BYD cars are amazing. I've driven them in Dubai, and they're over here now, going great guns. They are looking very seriously at F1. They have looked at, they've spoken to F1 management, and they're talking very seriously about how they could enter F1. Now, is that going to be buying an existing team? Could they buy Alpine? Could they buy Racing Bulls? Let's not forget that Christian Horner is ex-Red Bull. Could he buy that as a secondary team if they get rid of secondary teams? Or could we see a 12th team on the grid? Well, BYD.
I'd love to see a 12th team. What I find strange is if you'd said to me BYD going to Formula E, I'd totally agree with you straight away.
It fits
completely.
Yeah.
But I've been in BYD as well. Funnily enough, a taxi from Beaulieu-sur-Mer to Nice Airport last year from the Monaco Grand Prix.
We've all been there.
That was my first
and only experience. Didn't take the chopper?
Not this time. Oh. So there was a few tenders though, mate. Speedboats, choppy
waters.
Yes, that's what I had.
And they took out Liam from Game of Thrones.
Yes. But going back to BYD, personally, I don't see it. Okay. I can much more see Christian Horner coming in as a co-owner of Alpine, because the one thing he'd never had at Red Bull was ownership. Toto Wolff had ownership of the racing team at Mercedes, along with Mercedes. But Christian, I think, was jealous of that relationship, and I think that's what he's looking for. It makes total sense for him to buy a stake in Alpine and come in on it, and then basically redo his magic that he did at Red Bull. But is there too much water under the bridge with Christian and Formula One? Would he be welcomed back? I don't know.
Well, look at Briatore.
Oh, yeah.
He was banned from the sport. There you go.
There's the example.
There's a rabbit out of the hat.
And we're talking Alpine. So basically,
back to Alpine.
There we are. So it'd be interesting to see what develops.
It would be interesting to see how that goes as well. There's lots of crazy developments happening in and out of the paddock. And we've, just to remind everyone listening, we've worked at the Paddock Club in Formula One for many years. So we saw this stuff up close. And then to read the headlines. Talking of headlines, I don't know if you saw that Ferrari have just brought out a new electric car called the Luce, and let's just say the reaction has not been too complimentary. In fact, the share price for Ferrari has dipped at least 10%, which is billions of dollars. It's a laughing stock. Even the Pope has decried it. All the Italians are furious because now Ferrari have shown, we're just going to make basically Nissan Leafs for $640,000.
Joe, I'd not even seen it till today, and obviously being a big fan of Formula One, Ferrari are the team that everybody wants to drive for, and the team that the manufacturer that everybody would love.
Class,
only
style,
last night,
heritage.
My son Harrison asked me, "What is your perfect sports car, Dad? Supercar?" And I said it would be a Ferrari for me, followed very closely by a McLaren. But Ferrari have that absolute cool factor.
So what do you think of the new car then? What I showed you?
I think it looks ridiculous. I think
it's
embarrassing.
Cool factor?
Well, what I'm really disappointed with is you told me it'd be designed by Johnny Ive at Apple.
Yeah, from Apple.
I'm a huge Apple fan and have been with all the products ever since 2004 when I bought my first one, and he's been a huge one. I'm the person that sits there watching the keynote speeches by Tim Cook to see what the next generation of products are. So that's what disappoints me the most is if you'd have said to me it's going to be designed by Johnny Ive, I'm like, brilliant. Oh my word. I'm a big Tesla fan. I had a Tesla for a while. I love the look of it. The BYD experience wasn't as good as the Tesla for me, but they're everywhere.
Very easy to drive, aren't they? It's a bit too easy. They drive themselves, really.
It's the best car I've ever driven, mate.
The BYD?
The Tesla. Sorry. I've not driven a BYD.
Oh, okay.
But I just going back to Formula One, I don't see BYD in Formula One. What are Ferrari doing? They need to do an electric car. Of course they do, because this is where the whole industry is going. But It's
got to look cool though. Come on,
it's got to look like a Ferrari. I don't ever see a Ferrari that doesn't look cool. Even one from the 70s. Yeah. It looks cool.
Porsche don't change the shape. I was very lucky to go to Salon Privé this year over at Chelsea, and there's some beautiful cars there. I bumped into a guy from Jaguar who's part of the engineering team there, and I said, why don't you just make like the old E-Type or the XJS or something cool and just put the electric or hybrid in it and then put it on the, because we can't do it because there's so many things now, safety and everything. You basically have to have a car which is big padded car with crumple zones and all this kind of stuff.
Mate, they can still make it look cool. The McLaren road car
they're doing it.
Is the coolest. The coolest.
Even the Alpine car, the supercar is amazing.
BMW i8, which is a hybrid, one of the coolest looking cars ever. Beautiful. Come on, Ferrari. You are the cool. You are the definition of cool. It's easy.
They got that
Just
wrong.
do it. Now, talking about cars, mate.
Yes.
My parking runs out really soon, so we're probably going to have to run. sort
you can always run, and I'll wrap up. What, just very quickly, what can we expect from Monaco? That's the next race.
Well, first of all, Joe, I'm going to be down there, so hopefully I might just
come say hi to Darren.
A few bits
live
over.
Q&A.
So I'll be down near the Paddock Club, wandering around and doing my thing. What can we expect? I'm really interested to see the slightly smaller cars on the track because the last few years it has been a total procession and really just not a race at all. It's a qualifying event. Why don't we just run 2 qualifying events? Who knows? But so it's been wonderful to see a Monegasque win down there. It was wonderful to see Lando win down there and finally become world champion. Are we going to see Antonelli win 5 in a row? He's already broken the record, 4 in a row. 3 in a row was Senna and Schumacher, the only 2 to win 3 in a row as their first race wins.
Antonelli, first race win.
Antonelli is now the record holder of first win, followed by 3 more, 4 in a row. I think whoever gets pole will win it.
Yeah.
I do expect it to be a Mercedes on pole, but it will be interesting to see how these cars manage and whether there's anywhere to pass at all. They are slightly smaller in size. The management system and deploying the energy when I don't know if he'll even need to. I don't know when the boosts will be needed.
Let's see.
It's going to be interesting.
See if they can overtake. That was the key thing about these changes.
Correct.
See if Monaco they can overtake. Can be a boring race, like a train, people call it, because you're just following around. You can't really overtake. We'll look forward to seeing your report from Monaco.
Yep.
We look forward to seeing you over there as well. If you're in Monaco, grab Darren if you see him. Quick shout out to Andrew Faulkner, a friend of mine. It's his birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
He subscribes to Racehouse, so hopefully we'll see you on your telly. And we'll be back for the next time for Racehouse. But for now, and Darren's parking woes, it's goodbye from me, Jolie.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.